Welcome back to a fabulous video. We're going to be focusing today on tracing the changing power relationships between branches of government over time. We're going to be focusing on the executive branch and the relationship that that branch has with other branches of government. So, executive power, whenever you hear this phrase, executive power, I want you to think of the things that the president can do and also limits on what the president can do. Okay, what they can, what they can't. Starting off with executive power under the Articles. Now, when I'm talking about the Articles right now, I'm talking about the Articles of Confederation. So if you can think back a little bit, the Articles of Confederation was our first attempt at self-government in the United States. Okay, so after we separated from Great Britain, we created these Articles of Confederation to make a very, very weak central government. Okay, it didn't work. That's why we don't still have it. So, under the Articles of Confederation, executive power was very, very limited and almost like non existent. Okay, there wasn't really an executive branch under the Articles like we think of it today. It was pretty much just like an extension of the legislative branch. So, executive power, super weak. The source of executive power in our modern times comes from Article 2 of the Constitution. Okay, so we know that the legislative branch is established by Article 1, the executive branch is established by Article 2. So in Article 2 of the Constitution, and you're going to want to write this down, we find something known as the wild card clause. Okay, and the wild card clause basically says, and I'm paraphrasing, that the executive power of the United States shall be vested in a president. That's it. It doesn't tell us what executive power is, and it doesn't tell us what executive power isn't. So it's kind of similar to another clause that we've talked about previously. Think about it, think about it, think about it, think about it. Necessary and proper clause, right? Because it doesn't tell us what is considered necessary and proper, and it doesn't tell us what's not considered necessary and proper. So the wild card clause is very similar to that, in that presidents have used it historically for many reasons. So another source of executive power comes from the immediate needs of the nation, and a perfect example of how presidents have to address the immediate needs of the nation is the COVID-19 crisis, right? So we found ourselves in the middle of a pandemic. The country looked to the president for guidance, for some help when it came to decision making and what we should be doing and how we should be acting and all of that kind of stuff. Okay, so President Biden recently signed huge COVID relief bills into law. Okay, so that was his way of using his authority as the executive leader to address the immediate needs of the nation, dealing with stuff, things like reopening schools, so funding for cleaning and that kind of stuff. The stimulus bills that were given to people to help us, like get back on our feet if we needed to. Another source of executive power is the mandate of the people. And we've seen this word before throughout this unit. So mandate, it kind of sounds like mandatory. And if you have the mandate of the people, that means that the people have spoken, so to say. They have said, hey, we want you to be the president. And you, with all of your ideas and your agenda and everything that you want to push through, we support that. So you have our mandate. You have the requirement, or you have the support of the people to push through and further your agenda or your ideas. Okay. Limits on power. There are certain things that the president cannot do, of course. They are limited by good old Congress. And they're limited by Congress in a whole bunch of different ways. Keep in mind that if you are the president and you want to add somebody to your cabinet, first has to be approved by the Senate. If you want to make a treaty with a foreign country, first has to be approved by the Senate. Okay, so there are limits on things that the president can do. They're also, of course, limited by the courts. FDR, whenever he was in office, he passed, we all know, those New Deal programs. Some of them were struck down by the courts. They were seen as unconstitutional. And they're also limited, of course, by public opinion. So if you're president, you got to keep the people, somewhat happy with the job that you're doing. I'm going to stop there. If you have any questions, let me